What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where we take a movie from our past, maybe your past, break it down and tell you what we think about it. If you like what you see, as always, remember to check out YouTube channel, rate, subscribe, comment below, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Email nlapola1138@gmail.com. See what you think about this movie. So, we're going to talk about That Thing You Do. Not what you do, but the movie itself, which is directed by Tom Hanks. Stars Thomas Everett Scott, Liv Tyler, Johnathan Schaech, and Steve Zahn. And it's the story of a group from Erie, Pennsylvania. Basically a band that's, a garage band of sorts. And one day they lose their drummer, played by Giovanni Ribisi, and they bring in Tom Everett Scott, and they've created a song called That Thing You Do. It's played slow motion. And Thomas Everett Scott is basically formed the way of creating a faster pace for the song, which gains them popularity, gains them a record producer, all the way to Playtone Records, which is Tom Hanks' fake production company or record company in the movie, but is an actual production company in real life. And the producer that comes down is played by Tom Hanks. And you got your base of the story. You got the rise and popularity of a one-hit wonder, or Oneaters. And we'll get this out of the way. This movie is fun and fantastic. Tom Hanks, in his directorial debut, has created a poppy, a culture, a society of what it was like in the 60s for bands. There was all kinds of bands popping up, all kinds of Beatles clones, All the songs that you see are basically like poppy and, unique and just of its time. And the world that Tom Hanks is building is very 60s. You got the record players and you got the really old TVs and you got the world of, just fantastic looking stuff that, like Steve Zahn talks about how he was watching one of those marionette shows. He's like, oh, they just learned their puppets. And that was the kind of stuff like, seeing into the future. And I don't know, this movie is just fun to watch. It's not the best movie in the world. It's not meant to be, but for a movie that is showing a rise and eventual fall of a pop band, I think it does it really well. I think Tom Everett Scott, who really didn't go anywhere even after this movie, he's very electric. He's very fun to watch. He's very, very happy to be there. He loves his jazz. He loves Del Paxton, which is not a real guy, but he loves his idea, his music. He plays the drums on the side while his family's like, they sell like refrigerators and TVs. It's like an appliance store. And his father is your like typical 60s father where he's like, you need to have a job, a working family, you need to have this and that. And then Thomas Everett Scott is dating Charlize Theron, who's basically not really caring about what he does and just is there because the guy has money through his parents' appliance store. And that's what I like about this movie. I like the fact that it takes a look at the inside workings of a band who are at odds with each other a lot of times, but create this hit song that gains popularity. And Johnathan Schaech he's playing that character that's just, he's very into what he does with his music. And I like that character. I think he's a little over the top sometimes, but he comes off kind of a douche, which is what his character's meant to be. He's meant to be that guy who just doesn't really care about the world around him and wants to create that inner music, and it shows with his, relationship to Liv Tyler. And that's what makes this movie like special in that way. It just shows you that the bands are never going to survive, the ones that can't cohesively work together. Tom Hanks says it in the end of the movie where he's like, it's a common tale of bands with one-hit wonders and one-hit songs and, so on and so forth. And that's what happens with the eventual dissolution of this band. Ethan Embry's character ends up going into the military, or he will go into the military eventually. Steve Zahn is the comedic person, so he's doing crazy and wild stuff. And that's what's fantastic even about Steve Zahn, is he's the emotional heart to this movie. Not the emotional heart, but the emotional comedic balance. And he is like a revelation of talent because he hadn't really done anything before this, but Steve Zahn's one of those actors that doesn't get a lot of appreciation for what he does. He's very funny in this movie. He's very out there. There's a scene where they're being interviewed and he's like, I'm not with these guys. I'm here for the pig contest or something like that. And that's what I like about this movie. That's what I think is fun about this movie. It's it's just a good time. Tom Hanks just directs the hell out of this movie, and then he plays the hell out of this movie. It's just like this is what makes Tom Hanks Tom Hanks. He knows how to make a film. He knows how to be in a film. That's just it's exciting. It's just fun to watch. And then that's not even talking about how good like the side characters are. Johnathan Demme pops up, Paul Feig pops up, Clint Howard pops up. You know, they're in small parts, but they're just relaying more and more of what you like in this movie. And Howie Long pops up in the extended edition, which if you get a chance, you should check out. It's like 2 hours and 2.5 hours, but it's fun to watch. There's some stuff in there that you can understand why they took out for plotting, but it can be understated. Like the song itself, that is the name of the title of the movie, and plays out through the movie itself. I mean, there's other songs, but That Thing You Do is a catchy as hell song. It's a song that I love. It's a very poppy song. It's a very of its time, but it creates a visual look, a visual feel of what this kind of music is being played as. When they go on to the Playtone Stars tour and they have all these different bands, you know, they're kind of their time, and they go to state fairs and so on and so forth. It's just stuff like that. It just creates the world. But That Thing You Do as a song is very catchy. It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Song. I think it actually won or something like that. But I think things like that really show how much fun this movie is, how exciting it is. Just all the characters playing off each other. You know, I think the major fault with this movie is the first half is really strong, and then when they become famous and they get onto the Playtone Stars tour, and then they finally get to LA, I think it falters a little bit because I think the idea of the band rising is more interesting than the band being popular, because when you start getting to that moment of the band starting, you know, dissolving, I think it feels sad. But like I said, it kindly picks up at the end when you have all the resolutions playing out. You have Thomas Everett Scott finally meeting his idol, Del Paxton, and you have Liv Tyler finally accepting the fate that her boyfriend is never going to accept her and never going to be there for her. And then it all culminates to the Hollywood Showcase, which is kind of like that famous one with the Beatles and Ed Sullivan Show. So yeah, I mean, it's just a fun movie. It's a fun ride. Like I said, Tom Hanks is just Tom Hanksing it up, and you know, he puts all his family in there. Colin Hanks is in there, Rita Wilson's in there. But this is definitely a recommended watch if you haven't seen it yet, which I know a lot of you have. It didn't do very well in the theaters, so definitely see it if you haven't, because it's a lot of fun. See the extended edition because it shows you what pacing is like. Because there's a lot of things in the extended edition which should have been cut out and were. So, but that's it. That's my flashback review of That Thing You Do. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've seen the movie. If you haven't, comment below. Tell me what you think of the movie. If you haven't seen it, and so on and so forth. As always, check out my YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, and lapolo113@gmail.com is the email address. But like I said, comment below. Tell me what you think. So, but with that, we'll go and see you guys later. Peace.